Welcome to the Hollis Chapman Show, where we celebrate the power of words and the beauty of storytelling. Join us on this journey as we delve into the minds of successful authors and small business owners who have mastered the art of crafting captivating narratives that inspire, educate, and entertain. Prepare to be inspired as we explore the boundless possibilities that come from sharing stories and experiences that shape our lives and ignite our passions. Through heartfelt conversations and insightful discussions, we uncover the wisdom and creativity that fuel these incredible individuals in their pursuit of greatness. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and let the magic of storytelling transport you to new worlds and perspectives. Get ready to be inspired, informed, and uplifted as we embark on this storytelling journey together. Stay tuned for an episode filled with wisdom, inspiration, and the power of words. Welcome to the Hollis Chapman Show, where stories come alive. Let's begin this adventure together. Don't miss out on the opportunity to connect with some of the most talented and compelling voices in literature today. Tune in and let the journey begin.
Hello, welcome to the Hollis Chapman Show. I'm Hollis. Happy Tuesday, everyone. I hope everybody's staying cool. It's 10 o'clock in the morning here in Tempe, Arizona, and we're only at 95 degrees. So we're kind of getting into the summer here in Arizona. This is a time when we kind of don't like Arizona, but it's part of what we gotta do. Okay, I guess is here. She's very excited to be here and tell her story. Her name is Claire R.Dunn, a multi-purpose author, screenwriter, story editor, playwright, and producer. Her greatest love, other than her family, is writing of all forms. Without further ado, let's welcome to the show a special guest, Claire R.Dunn. Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining us today, and very excited to have your talent with us today and sharing your story with us. So tell us a little bit more about yourself. And you said your greatest love is writing in all forms. And talk a little bit about that too as you tell your story.
Sure. Let's see. A very long time ago, I went to theater school to become an actor. That is what I thought I was on this planet to do. Clearly, I was wrong, but that's okay. It took me, after 4 years of theater school, I was an actor for a decade. And the whole time I was a closet writer, I have to say. I didn't have the courage to say it out loud, but I could feel that percolating underneath the surface. And so eventually I started dodging my agent's calls, which is always a sign that you're not meant to be where you are.
Right.
And my husband got a good job. He was also an actor. I met him in theater school, and he got a job on a television show. And so for the first time in his life, he was making really good money as an actor. And he said, "Why don't you take time off and write a screenplay and submit to the Canadian Film Centre," which here in Toronto is kind of like our AFI. It's like post-grad film school. So I did that. I got in there. I was one of 5 writers from across the country. I trained myself as a screenwriter there. And their big thing was, you may never go back to your old ways of making a living, which was terrifying. But because, as an actor, I had a whole freelance career on the side as a publicist and a marketing and communications freelancer. So anyway, I took that leap and just trusted that the net would appear. And I got my first job in TV before I even graduated from the Canadian Film Centre, and then spent the next 30 years as a person in film and TV, working as a story editor, a writer, a producer. And I still work in film and TV, but I added novels to that because I think I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but it feels to me like all writers secretly want to publish a novel.
Yeah.
And to me, writing for film and TV felt like I was used to the 400-yard dash, but the writing a novel felt like running the Boston Marathon. So I wasn't sure I could do it, but I published my first novel in 2022. It's called At Last Count. And Lost in France, my next novel, is coming up on June 23rd.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Outstanding. That's a great story. But you choose two fields that are very tough on you. For rejection, rejection, rejection. You told, being
Yes.
an actor and being a writer, and you get rejected. You kind of put your book out there, and this agency doesn't want it, and this agency doesn't want it, something like
Yeah.
that. So how did you build that strength to sit there and go, okay, well, I want to be an actor, but I want to be a writer. Well, heck, that's just as tough as being an actor. How did you
Yeah,
build that
it
strength?
is. It is. You make a really good point there. And in some ways, I always thought that the rejection would get easier, and I think it does, and it doesn't.
Right.
It does in that you learn that rejection is just part of the job. That really your job is more about showing up and creating new ideas and getting them to your agent so that they have something to show, as opposed to feeling like you are only on the job when you're in a paid job and
Mm,
everything else is vacation.
mm,
I think that's the wrong mentality. I think it was Bryan Cranston. I don't know if you remember
yes.
this actor who's in Breaking Bad, but
Mhm.
there's a piece online about an interview with him, and he said pretty much the same thing, that he viewed his job as the job of getting auditions, showing up, getting off book, doing his best job at an audition. If he had done that in a day, he felt like he had, been at work.
Yeah.
So yeah, the rejection is part of the game for sure, and it is a numbers game. In other words, somehow you have to find the resilience to have a project rejected, and then you sit right back down at your desk and you either take some notes, improve that project, keep submitting it, or you let that one lie for a moment and you come up with five more ideas. But at the same time, it is very hard, and
Mhm.
I have been at this for 3 decades, and when the project really matters to you, it can be very hard to deal with that rejection. Anyway,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm the fool who. Do you know that I've never had a full time job? If you can
Wow.
believe it, I've been
That's
a
outstanding.
freelance artist
Mm.
my whole life, so I really only have myself to blame. But
Mm.
there you go.
And what's really neat too, and I'm sure you thought about this, but you haven't said it, is that having a great partner is important. Honey, I'm working now. Sit back and write your stuff and stuff like. You don't get too many of that. Usually what you do and don't do may come from when we start butting heads. Seems like your husband said, your husband, hey, I know you're skilled. I know you're talented. Just like you
Yeah,
said, numbers games. That we got a nice little funds coming in. You do what you got to do, and we'll make it
yeah.
work. That's outstanding, right?
It is. Listen, you don't have to convince me of this. I married a prince. That's the long
Yeah,
and the short of it.
yeah,
Kirk Dunn, who I'm married to, he and I went to theater school together, and so I think part of our relationship comes out of the fact that we were colleagues first.
yeah.
We were creative collaborators first, and then it was only 2 years after theater school that we fell in love and we got married, and so we've been married. This year it'll be 35 years. Um,
Outstanding.
but he is also a multi hyphenate creative. He's a writer, so sometimes we write together when it makes sense and when we're both interested. So we've had two plays produced that we've co-written, one of which he performs in as an actor, and it has toured 6 countries. Been performed over 120 times. And the second play, called Spycraft, just had its premiere last year in a month-long tour here in Canada. And so there are things that he is very good at, and there are things that I'm very good at, and we meet somewhere in the middle. Like, he doesn't like to submit grant proposals,
Mhm.
and I have an affinity for that.
Yeah,
So when we submit for a grant, I answer the long form questions. He takes care of the budget,
yeah.
and that's how we get him over the fence. With me, he often serves as my in the house story room. So if I'm having a story problem, by the way, he is a writer, actor, and a knitter. A huge he
Ah,
knits massive. installations, and he's sort of considered an out-of-the-box knitter. So he will sit on the couch